She unexpectedly paid for a soldier's coffee, the hidden heir to a $5 million fortune revealed. Lucy Thompson balanced a tray of steaming coffee mugs with practiced ease, glancing up to meet the eyes of a soldier in uniform seated at the counter. He looked weary, shoulders heavy from unspoken burdens, yet a quiet strength radiated from him. As she poured his coffee, an impulse struck her before she could reconsider. She quietly slipped a $5 bill from her pocket and placed it on the counter. "This one's on me," she smiled, her heart racing with the thrill of the small gesture. The soldier looked up, surprise flickering in his gaze, as if she had offered him a lifeline. What had she just done? Was she crazy for spending money she could barely afford? As the morning rush continued, the thought of that transient moment lingered. Was it kindness or reckless? The question gnawed at her as she juggled patrons demanding their breakfasts and balancing her thoughts on Emily, her tightly wound daughter. How could she secure a future for her when every dollar mattered, plunging her deeper into anxiety? While she offered her cheerful service with a smile, the harsh realities of her double shifts at the diner and the pharmacy pressed heavily on her shoulders. Each day was a battle, yet she thrived on the challenge, clinging to the hope of providing better for Emily. But at what cost? After her shift, Lucy found herself inexplicably drawn to Jake, the soldier she had served. They exchanged pleasantries, and he revealed that he was the grandson of a billionaire, one whose name echoed through the shadows of Maplewood. Beneath her casual demeanor, Lucy felt the stirrings of envy. She couldn't shake off the fear of being pitted. As Jake talked about his grandfather's legacy, silence loomed large, swirling in her mind like an unwelcome fog. She wanted to detest that world of wealth and privilege, yet it also sparked flickers of curiosity. Who was she to judge? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days stretched into a whirlwind as it all came crashing down, sparking a dizzying revelation from a letter hidden among her late father's belongings. It unveiled her bloodline intertwined with that same billionaire, a revelation that shook her core. $5 million, a fortune that could lift her from the depths of her struggles. Overwhelmed by anxiety, she wrestled with thoughts of family honor shadowed by her own values. Would her worth as a mother diminish? What legacy did she truly want to leave for Emily? Would embracing wealth mean losing herself? Judgment brewed in her small town, fueled by whispers and sideways glances. The pressure twisted in her gut, bringing forth a fierce battle between ambition and morality. Should she grasp this unexpected lifeline, or let it slip? And as Jake stepped in as both mentor and friend, guiding her gently yet firmly through unfamiliar waters of wealth, her resolve only deepened. Every moment spent with him threw her sense of self into turmoil, and filters of doubt clouded her heart. Just as everything seemed to settle into an uneasy glow, another shocking connection between their families left Lucy's mind reeling. A secret buried deep. The fear of betrayal loomed larger than anything. Would pursuing this new life taint the very values she had instilled in Emily? Would it yield the independence her daughter craved, or chain her to new uncertainties? Lucy felt the edges of her reality fraying. What did success truly mean anymore, and what was she willing to sacrifice for it? A sudden revelation about Jake's past set her heart racing anew, leading her further down a twisted path of uncertainty where honor and wealth collided, threatening her carefully constructed world. What awaited her just beyond that horizon? The days following her tumultuous discovery were a kaleidoscope of emotions. Lucy felt as though she were caught in a storm, each thought whirling dangerously around her. The letter, with its life-altering implications, haunted her like an unwelcome specter. It was a bitter pill to swallow, realizing not only her connection to wealth but the potential for her life to change dramatically, and how much her values would be put to the test. With each shift at the diner, Lucy put on her strongest face. She greeted customers with her infectious smile, triggered by years of practice in the art of hiding her struggles. Yet beneath the surface, her mind raced with questions that gnawed at her insides. Did she truly want to hunt down this newfound inheritance? Would acknowledging it mean leaving behind the very essence of who she was? Her anxiety weighed heavily on her as she returned home to Emily each night, her daughter blissfully unaware of the upheaval brewing within her mother. Lucy had always been determined to be a stable anchor in Emily's life, but now the fear of making the wrong decision loomed large. What would ambition look like if it didn't come at the cost of her morals? Jake had become an anchor, yet also a point of contention. He exuded confidence and charm, a byproduct of his lineage. Every conversation seemed to bring him closer to her, a complicated mix of friendship and unspoken expectations. During one particularly illuminating talk, they sat on a bench outside the diner after closing. The stars twinkled above them, a backdrop for truths both daunting and exhilarating. "You don't have to be afraid, Lucy," Jake said, his voice steady. "You possess something far more valuable than money: integrity. Don't let fear dictate your choices." His words pierced her like a lifeline, resonating in the depths of her insecurity. Yet his confidence felt like a double-edged sword. The weight of her lineage pressed down on her, but now she stood at a crossroads. Could she truly carve her path amid the shadows of inherited expectations? Even as she pondered this, her professional life began to shift imperceptibly. A regular customer, a businesswoman, had taken notice of Lucy's ability to connect with patrons. One day, she handed Lucy a business card, suggesting that she consider a role in her marketing firm. "You've got a talent for understanding people," the woman explained with genuine admiration. The offer lit a spark in Lucy's heart, but also ignited her fears. Could she really leave the comfort of what she knew for the uncertainty of something entirely different? The struggle within her morphed into a silent battle as days passed. On one hand, the promise of wealth and stability beckoned her like a siren, while the call of her integrity and connection to Emily became a flickering flame in the back of her mind. Each choice bore consequences, and Lucy realized that the stakes had never been higher, not just for her future, but for the future of the daughter who looked up to her. As she stood at the threshold of possibility, every decision seemed more critical than the last. The choice to embrace wealth, pursue this new job, or maintain the status quo grew increasingly complex. Just as she thought she had a grip on her next steps, a shocking message arrived from Jake, weaving their fates together even more intricately than before. Would this revelation propel her forward, or deepen the chasm of doubt? The moment of decision loomed ever closer. Would she rise to meet her destiny, or back away in fear of losing everything? Lucy stared at her phone in disbelief as Jake's message settled into her mind like a lead weight. The words danced across the screen, each syllable amplifying the storm raging inside her. "I need to talk. There's something important about your family I haven't told you." The anxious flutter in her chest morphed into a vice grip around her heart, twisting her breath into a shallow gasp. The promise of a deeper connection with Jake was tangled with the fear of what lay beneath the surface of his revelation. Behind the counter of the diner, where the scent of brewed coffee mingled with the chatter of regulars, she felt even more on edge. The din of clinking cutlery and friendly banter appeared hollow, a stark contrast to the turmoil within her. The laughter of customers rang like distant echoes, reminding her that she was still tethered to a life that felt increasingly out of reach. "Lucy! Earth to Lucy!" a voice called, pulling her back to reality. It was Mary, the other waitress, waving a hand in front of her face. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, just thinking," Lucy replied, forcing a smile. The very act felt like a mask, concealing the anxious turmoil boiling beneath. She busied herself with wiping down the counter, avoiding Mary's curious gaze. "You've been off for days. Is it that inheritance thing? I think you should just go for it." Mary's enthusiasm was infectious but felt misplaced. The dilemma clenched tighter around Lucy, drowning out the optimism. Instead of replying, Lucy simply nodded, her thoughts swirling like dark clouds. As the shift dragged on, she weighed her options, both alluring yet terrifying. The business card nestled in her pocket was a tangible reminder of potential escape. But could she abandon the only life she truly knew? Each tie to her old existence felt like a lifeline, yet every opportunity pulled her closer to the precipice of her family's hidden legacy. Later that evening, after closing up the diner and tucking Emily into bed, Lucy settled into a chair, phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. She stared at Jake's message, debating whether to respond or delay, caught in a web of uncertainty. Advancing toward wealth and a seemingly brighter future felt both promising and perilous. The thought of changing their life was intoxicating, yet it stirred a deep fear within her. Had she become so accustomed to hardship that she was afraid to embrace prosperity? In the quiet warmth of her home, she ran through the possibilities. If she embraced this opportunity, could she truly balance her new identity with the life she had crafted for herself and Emily? The prospect of leaving behind the diner, her predictable routine, not to mention the prospect of unknown relationships and expectations, sent tremors of doubt through her. Taking a deep breath, she typed back to Jake, "What's going on? I'm ready to hear it." As her finger hovered over the send button, the gravity of the choice cascaded over her, intertwining hope and trepidation. The response was swift, "Can we meet?" Though her hands shook slightly, she nodded to herself. The time had come to confront whatever truth lay hidden in the folds of her family's past. The threat of a sudden upheaval gnawed at her but also ignited a flicker of curiosity. What revelations waited in the shadows of her lineage? In that moment of resolve, she felt the tether to her old self loosening. As she prepared for the meeting, a single thought persisted. The crossroads had transformed into a pivotal moment, one that could redefine her very existence. But what was the cost of this new direction? Would she truly be able to forge her own path, or would lingering doubts cloud her judgment? With every fiber of her being, Lucy steeled herself. The confrontation loomed. What secrets would Jake unveil that could change everything she thought she knew? The cafe was dimly lit, the kind of place that cradled whispered secrets in its corners. Lucy arrived early, her heart hammering in her chest as she glanced around. The air was thick with the scent of roasted beans, but it did little to calm her nerves. She chose a table in the back, away from the few early patrons. Each sip of her coffee felt heavy with purpose. Time crept along while she fiddled with her phone. Jake's image flickered in her mind, a mixture of reassurance and uncertainty. To put her life on the line, to abandon the familiar for an uncertain destiny, felt like a gamble she had never been prepared to play. As she waited, she mentally rehearsed the questions that danced in her head. What would she truly uncover? Would Jake's words turn into a key that unlocked doors she'd long since sealed? Minutes turned into an eternity before he finally walked in. Jake radiated a calm confidence as he scanned the room, his gaze landing on her. Relief washed over her momentarily before anxiety reclaimed its grip. He approached with a soft smile, his demeanor radiating warmth, yet behind it, something deeper lurked. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, sliding into the seat opposite her. "I've just been thinking a lot about everything." "About my family?" Lucy pressed, urgency filling the silence between them. The space felt charged, heavy with expectation. "Yes," he replied, his expression serious. "But not just that. It's about you too." She exhaled audibly, her pulse quickening. "Just tell me what it is." Jake paused, collecting his thoughts. "Your family's history runs deeper than you know. I've found out some things I didn't realize were connected to you." Uneasiness coiled inside her. "Like what?" His eyes bore into hers with earnestness. "Your last name, it's tied to a trust and inheritance that could change everything for you." She blinked, grappling with the implications. "An inheritance? What trust?" Jake leaned in closer, his voice lowering. "It's worth millions, Lucy. Your family wasn't just ordinary, and the implications of that could redefine your life." As the weight of his words settled in, Lucy felt reality splintering beneath her feet. Years of toil and routine seemed so trivial now. Why haven't I heard of this? Why have we struggled all these years? Her voice trembled, the facade threatening to crack. "There was a reason," Jake noted, shifting uncomfortably. "Your family wanted to keep it hidden. They believed it was safer that way. But it's not just about the money, it's about you reclaiming what is rightfully yours." It's about understanding where you come from. Lucy's mind raced. To revisit her family's past was not just a matter of financial gain, but a confrontation with her very identity. The poverty she had lived through felt suddenly less like a badge of honor and more an injustice left unresolved. "What do I need to do?" she asked, the determination rising within her. Jake smiled, sensing her shift. "We need to investigate how to access the trust. There are steps to take, and I can help you. But understand, this will stir things up. You'll face opposition, it could be dangerous." Just as she inhaled to form a reply, a sudden wave of realization crashed over her. This was no longer about mere financial gain. It was about seizing her narrative, uprooting her insecurities, and rewriting her story. But the lurking dangers he alluded to pierced through her moment of resolve. An internal battle raged within her. Could she evolve beyond her fears and confront whatever shadows awaited? With newfound resolve, Lucy leaned back, letting the gravity of the situation soak in. "Let us do it. I'm ready." Yet even as she steeled her resolve, questions loomed larger. Would she have the strength to face the hidden enemies that thrived on her ignorance? And could she truly excavate her past without losing her present? The implications rippled like water disturbed by a stone, and Lucy found herself teetering on the edge of something monumental. The moment hung like a taut wire. She could only imagine what it would be like to walk that line between revelation and ruin. The cafe door swung open, breaking the pregnant silence, and Lucy felt a jolt of anxiety ripple through her. Jake had just dropped a bombshell, and the gravity of his words settled heavily on her shoulders. As he pulled out his laptop, her heart raced with a cocktail of anticipation and dread. "First," Jake said, orienting himself with a few clicks, "we need to figure out the specifics of this trust. Let us start with the basics." Lucy nodded, but her mind spiraled. The idea of a hidden legacy had the air of a daydream, ethereal and out of reach. Could she truly be linked to something significant? It felt ludicrous to consider, almost whimsical. Yet the specter of doubt danced at the periphery of her thoughts, whispering that perhaps she was still the same ordinary Lucy, nothing more. Jake's hands moved intently over the keyboard, pulling up documents and records. "Here," he said, pointing at the screen. "This is the trust, and it outlines the key players." He looked up, locking eyes with her. "Your father's name is here, along with several others. They're listed as beneficiaries." Beneficiaries? It didn't make sense. She had grown up hearing tales of struggle, of survival. But how? Why didn't we ever know about this? "Your family actively chose to keep it secluded," he replied, frustration creeping into his voice. "There could be a million reasons, shame, fear, who knows? But it means there's a choice to be made now." Lucy's mind buzzed with revelations. Each stroke of Jake's fingers on the keys felt like a nail hammering into the coffin of her old self. She grasped for control amidst the upheaval swirling inside her. "What choice? Do you want to pursue this? I mean, really go after it?" His eyes shone with a blend of support and concern, as if he recognized the vast consequences that lay ahead. "It's not just about fortune. It's about making that decision to confront your past." Confronting her past. The short phrase landed heavily on her heart, filling her with an urgency she hadn't felt before. This was not merely an inquiry into her family's hidden wealth. It was an invitation to redefine who she was. "I've lived with shadows," she admitted, her voice quieter now. "This family name, my experiences, they've defined me. But this?" She gestured to the screen, her heart racing. "What if it's too late to change who I am?" "We can't know unless you act," Jake encouraged, his tone unwavering. "And I'll be right here with you every step of the way. Think of it as unearthing your truth. You owe it to yourself to discover who you really are." Every syllable he spoke peeled back layers of doubts, exposing the rawness beneath her yearning for recognition, understanding, and most importantly, agency over her own life. "What if the truth hurts? What if my family kept this secret for a reason?" "If that's the case, then it's your right to understand it," he replied, meeting her gaze without faltering. "You deserve clarity, and the chance to challenge everything you thought you knew. Time slowed to a crawl as she wrestled with her options, her ambitions, and the demons lingered within. This was no longer just about money, it was a reckoning, a chance to transform her narrative, to actively shape her own destiny. With shaking hands, Lucy reached for her coffee cup, the warmth grounding her amidst the turmoil. Okay. I'm in. Let us pursue it. As the words escaped her lips, a mixture of terror and exhilaration flooded her senses. Yet, as Jake began pulling up more documents, a sudden chill swept through her. Unearthing her past might lay the groundwork for risks she couldn't yet comprehend. Would the world she was stepping into welcome her, or would it turn hostile as she unearthed secrets that sought to remain buried? The truth would soon reveal itself, and Lucy stood on the precipice of a journey she never chose, one that carried the weight of history on her shoulders. Without warning, her phone buzzed on the table. A hidden message lit the screen, and as she glanced down, an ominous inscription jolted her senses. We know what you're looking for. Stay away. Panic unfurled like a tightly wound spring inside her just as she began to embrace her journey. Adversaries lurked on her path, ready to fight for the secrets she sought to claim. Would she still have the courage to pursue her heritage, or would fear force her to retreat? The cafe buzzed around Lucy, yet she felt like an island amidst the chatter. The weight of that text pulsed through her mind like a relentless drum. Every sip of her coffee felt heavy and bitter, each moment chipping away at her resolve. Lucy? Jake's voice cut through her fog. Are you okay? She blinked and focused on him, catching the concern etched across his face. Did you see that message? The words slipped out before she could reconsider. Yes, I did. He leaned in, lowering his voice. It's alarming, but we need to stay calm. Remember, knowledge is power. We can't let it deter you from what you decided. His unwavering demeanor sparked a flicker of determination deep within her. Ignoring the message felt impossible, but she couldn't allow it to become a wall. You're right. What's next? Jake clicked through several documents, revealing family lineage trees and more beneficiaries. To move forward, we need to gather more context. Do you have family members who might know something? Friends? Anyone? An unsettling silence enveloped her thoughts as she contemplated the past. Her mother, with an iron will and guarded demeanor, had often dismissed questions about their lineage, invoking family pride with a measure of disdain for anything perceived as wealth or entitlement. I doubt my mom would have any insights. She always tried to shield us from the past. Then we focus on the documentation, Jake said, unfazed. There may be other records, letters, anything that can provide insight into your lineage. Lucy opened her mouth to respond, but the thought of digging into the past made her heart race. What if the deeper I go, the harder it is to face the truths about my family? You're already on this path, Lucy. Ignoring it doesn't change its existence. You owe it to yourself to confront these shadows. Jake's words hit the mark, piercing the tightness in her chest. She imagined herself as that little girl fumbling through the untidy drawers of family history, sifting through moments, stowed away secrets, locked tightly, waiting to be unraveled. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. Okay, let us do it. I need to step beyond these whispers and into the truth. The realization felt weighty yet liberating. She could feel the threads of her identity loosening, making way for something new, something more authentic. In her pursuit lay growth. Grabbing her phone, she hesitated, staring down at it. There was the ominous text that taunted her progress. Jake, what if they target me now that I've shown interest? Those behind that message are clearly watching. We can't let fear dictate our actions, he replied. But we need strategies. Perhaps documenting everything, every phone call, every research session will help keep you grounded. She considered this, letting his words sink in. Meticulously shoring up evidence of her inquiries felt like arming herself, fortifying her resolve against unseen threats. Plus, Jake added, if someone truly wants to dissuade you, it might indicate the significance of the truth you're pursuing. And we need to uncover that significance. As newfound determination coursed through her veins, fear began to shift into motivation, igniting a flame where confusion had once reigned. All right, let us gather everything we can. I'm ready. With clarification guiding her, Lucy began to draft a list of questions, things she'd never dared to consider, but now felt necessary. Who were these beneficiaries? What truths lay buried? The cafe around her began to fade, focusing her attention on the burgeoning list of questions. Questions that felt more like keys than mere words, keys that promised access to a future not yet solidified. Jake watched her progress, pride glimmering in his eyes. You're taking control, Lucy. This is your journey, your legacy. She met his gaze, grounding herself in his unwavering belief. They were embarking on a mission together, both unearthing the past and creating a new version of herself, one that could stand against the tide. But as they shifted their focus to the screen, another buzz from her phone caught her attention. It was another message, equally terse and unnerving. You think you can handle the truth? You're not ready. Defiance swelled within her, mingling with trepidation. Would these words come to haunt her, or ignite a new resolve? She steadied her breathing, readying herself to face forces she had barely begun to understand. Would she uncover truths that would solidify her path, or initiate a battle that could ravage the fragile foundation she was building? The stakes were rising, and her journey was just beginning. The weight of the latest message pressed down on Lucy like a stone. You're not ready. It echoed in her mind as she and Jake pored over documents on the table in front of them. While the cafe buzzed with life, her heart raced with uncertainty. What did it mean to be ready? And who was watching her? Let us focus, Jake said, snapping her back to the moment. We need to dig deeper into your family history. Lucy nodded vigorously, but uncertainty lingered at the edges of her determination. She flipped through the pages of the genealogy documents with hesitation, each name a reminder of the secrets she was desperate to unveil. I need to know, Jake. I'm worried about the implications. Exactly. That's why it's crucial to understand your lineage. Knowledge is your ally. The more you uncover, the more prepared you'll be for what's out there. Jake's confidence tugged at her, urging her to embrace this challenge. As they continued their research, Lucy felt a subtle shift within her. She didn't want to be paralyzed by fear. She wanted to confront her past and navigate the resulting storm. Do you think any of these people would still be alive? She pointed to an intricate family tree linked to names that felt foreign to her. Maybe they could share their stories? It's possible, he mused, looking over her shoulder. But what's even more significant is the documentation. If you uncover letters, legal documents, or anything resembling their past, we can piece together the narrative. With renewed purpose, Lucy felt a spark of resilience ignite from within. The idea of unearthing hidden stories filled her with excitement. I should contact my mom, see if she has anything stored away. Good idea, but tread carefully. The last thing you want is to raise suspicion or invite further scrutiny. Lucy's fingers tingled as she picked up her phone, ready to make the call. But a knot of anxiety knotted itself in her stomach. What if she refuses to discuss any of it? She has always been so guarded. Probe gently, and remember that you're in control now. This journey is your own, Jake encouraged, his presence a reassuring anchor in the swirling sea of her emotions. Taking a deep breath, Lucy pressed the call button. When her mother's voice came through, she felt an unexpected rush of nostalgia, mixed with the heaviness of the present. Mom, can we talk? I need to ask you about family stuff. A brief silence stretched, and Lucy could almost hear her mother's mental gears grinding. What do you want to know? Her mother finally replied, her tone cautious yet curious. Several questions bubbled up inside Lucy as she navigated the conversation. She hit on points about their family history, her pulse quickening with every response. It was difficult to read her mother. She dodged some inquiries while answering others with guarded ambiguity. I don't want you digging too deep, Lucy, her mother warned, the tension in her voice palpable. Some things are best left in the past. A surge of defiance propelled Lucy forward. Mom, it's my history too. I deserve to know. When the call ended, Lucy felt both empowered and defeated. It was clear her mother was not going to be a source of guidance. I didn't expect her to reveal much, Jake said as they reconvened, gauging her reaction. but you're making strides regardless. I think she's hiding something, Lucy said, storing her mother's reticence in her mind. Then we dig deeper. Let us try to find archives or any legal documents connected to your family name. Your grave doubt can turn into clarity. Fueled by resolve, Lucy immersed herself in her research. Days turned into restless nights of sifting through layers of digital records, each click revealing or obscuring different aspects of her family's past. But with each revelation came more questions. The figures of her genealogy morphed into strangers' old faces and preserved photographs, their faint smiles unearthing the weight of expectations. And then, as she hoped to peel away the layers, another text arrived. You can't escape your heritage, Lucy. It's in your blood. It's coming. For you. This time, dread gripped her by the throat. Instead of retreating into fear, she felt an urgency to confront these messages head-on. I need to pull everything together, Lucy said, resolute. With courage kindled from uncertainty, she had become her own warrior. The path to understanding her heritage was fraught with trepidation, but it was hers to claim. As she delved deeper, she found herself at a crossroads. Would she embrace the truths she unearthed, or continue to find herself drawn back into the shadows? Determined, she closed her laptop, preparing for what was next. The stakes had grown, but so had her strength. What hidden truths lurked in her lineage that would either empower or cripple her? The need for existence and identity pressed on her, waiting for the moment of revelation. The following morning found Lucy grappling with the implications of her ongoing investigation. The remnants of last night's chaotic thoughts echoed in her mind as she faced the first light of day. Sitting at her small kitchen table, she scanned the scattered pages of her family history, the letters and documents linking her inextricably to a past she knew very little about but desperately wanted to comprehend. They were no longer mere digital images. They had transformed into windows to a life she hadn't yet begun to understand. Determination coursed through her veins as she threw on her jacket and headed out. Even with the weight of dread still anchored in her chest, she was invigorated by a singular purpose: to confront her family's secrets, and to reforge her identity in the process. As she walked the streets toward the local archives, she reflected on Jake's words of encouragement. The more she learned about her lineage, the more prepared she would become. But apprehension lingered, whispering doubts into her ear. What if uncovering these truths only led to greater pain? What if she preferred the bliss of ignorance to the chaos of revelation? She brushed aside those thoughts, focusing instead on the thrill of the unknown. The archives were a labyrinth of stories, a place filled with dusty files and hidden treasures just waiting to be discovered. Each step felt significant, each moment an act of reclaiming her narrative. Once inside, Lucy approached the desk, greeting the archivist with a resolve she didn't entirely feel. I'm looking for any legal documents or histories related to the Edwards family, she stated, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. The archivist raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. You have a specific time frame in mind? Lucy hesitated, the weight of her family history uncertain like the tides of memory. I'm not sure, she admitted. Let us start with what we know, the archivist suggested, motioning her toward a workstation filled with resources. As Lucy absorbed the details of old wills, land records, and census documents, a palpable connection to her ancestors began to form. She lost track of time as she became engrossed in the lives of those long gone, their stories tangling with her own tragedies, triumphs, and the whispers of their existence walking the lines of her blood. Then, amidst the dated papers, she stumbled upon a familiar name. A declaration from a great-uncle, detailing an inheritance that had been set aside for a specific lineage, her lineage. Her heart raced. What did a $5 million inheritance mean? What obligations accompanied such a legacy? Lucy felt a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation engulf her. Questions flooded her mind. Did her mother know about this? What had been the circumstances that led to the will? With each document she pored over, the implications loomed larger, revealing a complexity that seemed both daunting and thrilling. Just as she was beginning to piece together the puzzle, her phone buzzed with another message. You're learning too much, Lucy. Stop digging before you uncover things better left undiscovered. It was ominous, a dark cloud enveloping the sunlight streaming through the library windows. The words sent a chill racing through her veins. Who was watching her, and how far would they go to protect their secrets? Before she could gather her thoughts, the archivist returned with a file in hand. "This may help," he said, handing her a folder filled with letters, a correspondence from her great-grandfather to someone named Ava, a name Lucy had never encountered before but felt an undeniable pull toward. As she opened the first letter and began reading, the world around her blurred. In that moment, the past felt more tangible than ever, secrets aching to be unveiled. What had her family kept hidden for all these years? Lucy's hands trembled as the gravity of the situation intensified. She was standing on the threshold of a revelation that could change everything. Her pursuit had transitioned from a quest for understanding to a potential confrontation with her family's dark history. Consumed by the enormity of this discovery, Lucy steadied herself for what lay ahead. It was time to confront the past and challenge the forces that threatened to snuff out her journey into the truth of her own identity. What secrets would the letters reveal about her family's South past and her place in that legacy? The urgency to uncover these hidden narratives surged within her, now more than ever. As she delved deeper into the unfolding mystery, she realized that the moment of confrontation was drawing near. With each letter Lucy read, the revelations rolled over her like a tide, each detail a piece of a family puzzle that beckoned for completion. The letters from her great-grandfather to Ava unveiled a layered past she had never fully grasped, filled with longing and regret. Each sentence seemed to resonate with echoes of lost opportunities, shadowing her mind with the weight of history. She could almost hear the voices of the past whispering through the paper, urging her forward. "Dear Ava," the first letter began, inked in a flowing script that felt almost alive. "I've often wondered if you know of the burdens that weigh upon your descendants." The words drew her in, the narrative weaving familial bonds she had previously felt were non-existent. As she continued, Lucy found herself absorbed not only in these accounts of love and loss but also in the identity they shaped for her. Each revelation deepened her understanding of herself as she unearthed echoes of resilience and heartbreak embedded in her bloodline. Yet amid this burgeoning excitement, a sense of urgency gnawed at her. The warning message loomed large in her mind, darkening the thrill of discovery. Stop digging before you uncover things better left undiscovered. Who was lurking in the shadows? What were they willing to protect, and at what cost? After poring over the contents of the folder for what felt like hours, she closed her eyes briefly, retreating into the clamoring cacophony of her thoughts. The walls appeared to close in as she grappled with the implications of her findings. She was not merely digging into nostalgia, she was unearthing potential horrors hidden within her legacy. Would she be prepared for the truths that lay ahead? The reality of the inheritance sat heavily on her chest, a double-edged sword. $5 million, a fortune that could transform her life. It felt like a promise. But the strings attached to that promise remained undefined, shadowy figures echoing her ancestral history. What expectations would accompany the financial freedom? If the letters indicated anything, it was that her family's past was steeped in silences that must no longer be honored. With the archivist's voice breaking through her reverie, she looked up. "Lucy, are you all right? You've seemed a bit moved," he said gently. She offered a half-hearted smile, shaken but resolute. "It's just a lot to take in. This history, it's more than I expected. Sometimes, the past can be a heavy burden, but it can also light the way forward," he replied, his tone wise and understanding. His words rang true, but Lucy knew they weren't always comforting. The deeper she ventured into her family's secrets, the more precarious her journey would become. As she closed the folder of letters, she made a silent vow to herself. She would not retreat into the shadows. The urgency within her flared into action. She needed to confront her mother about the inheritance. But would she be ready for her mother's response? Would she embrace the history or flee from its repercussions? Just as she gathered her thoughts to leave, another message flickered across her screen. "We need to talk. You've crossed the line." It was from an unknown number, but the warning was unmistakable. Fear crackled through her, yet it stoked her determination. She felt the eye of scrutiny pressing against her foundation, acute to escalate, to move faster. Lucy's heart raced as she stepped into the sunlight outside the archives once again, adrenaline pushing her forward. Her next steps would determine her path, entangling familial duty with the pursuit of her own truth. Facing the prospect of her mother's knowledge about the inheritance, Lucy felt the line between her past and her present blur. What awaited her was not only an answer but an awakening. The time had come to confront the very foundation of her identity. Setting her jaw, she turned her steps toward home, each determined stride echoing with affirmation. It was time to shatter the defects that had plagued her lineage. She would find out what her family had buried, head first into the chaos of truth. The echoes of revelations were now mingled with the pounding of her heart, and as she neared her destination, a new thought took shape. What if the greatest secret of all was waiting to unravel next, threatening to change her life forever? Lucy Thompson stood at the threshold of her past, staring at the door of her childhood home. The scent of the blooming cherry blossoms filled her nostrils, yet the blooming sense of unease twisted in her gut. She had come to confront not just her mother, but the shadowy specter of her family's legacy that she had begun to unravel. Gone were the days of retreating into the oblivion of ignorance. She was now ready to embrace her truth, no matter how daunting. As she stepped inside, memories assaulted her dinners shared, laughter echoing through the hall, the reassuring texture of family safety that now felt fundamentally fragile. The air was tense, and there was a sense of foreboding that clung to her every word as she approached her mother. "Mom, we need to talk," she asserted, her voice steady even as her heart raced. Her mother looked up from the kitchen table, surprise painted on her face. "Lucy, I told you I don't want you digging into the past. It will only bring you trouble." But Lucy was no longer a girl seeking permission, she was a woman reclaiming her narrative. "I found letters about our family's inheritance. It's tied to the Edwards name. I need to understand, and I need you to help me." The silence that ensued felt eternal, each heartbeat pounding louder as her mother processed the words. Finally, the older woman sighed, her features hardening in disbelief. "You can't just play with fire, Lucy. You have no idea what you're tampering with. I'd rather know the truths that shape our lives than live with the ignorance that has clouded us for so long," Lucy pressed, her voice rising with determination. The weight of her discoveries sparked an urgent fire within, igniting an unyielding passion for resolution. "Do you even realize what you are proposing?" her mother retorted, pain evident in her voice. "The legacy you think you want could come with very real dangers. Some families choose to keep their secrets for a reason. And for too long, I've been shackled by those secrets," Lucy said, her resolve deepening. "I've spent my life battling for every ounce of stability, and now, faced with potential freedom, I refuse to let fear dictate my fate." Hope flooded Lucy's heart, the intensity surging through her. The confrontation with her mother, once merely a looming uncertainty, had begun to feel inherently transformative. The truth she had unearthed was hers, not to fear or hide from, but to embrace. For a moment, her mother's stoic facade softened. "Lucy, there are pieces of our past that could unravel everything we've built. You don't know what you may face." "I'd rather confront the unknown than cower in the shadows," Lucy asserted, her voice growing firmer with every word. "If we hold on to the burdens of the past, it could break us. But if we work together to face it, it can free us." The two women locked eyes, the divide between them bridged by an unspoken understanding. It was a clash of generations, shaped by choices and consequences. Ultimately, it was Lucy who had transformed through this tumultuous journey, shedding the weight of doubts and fears with conviction as both shield and sword. At that moment, Lucy saw recognition flicker within her mother, an embodiment of the struggles she had faced. After what felt like a lifetime, her mother sighed. "If you insist on going forward, we'll uncover what is hidden, but it could be more challenging than anything you've experienced before." Relief washed over Lucy. Her mother had agreed to enter this precarious journey with her. With a newfound commitment solidified, the journey toward understanding their family's legacy was no longer hers to bear alone. "Let us explore what is at stake together," Lucy said, a sense of camaraderie blooming within the room once marked by fear and tension. In the days that followed, a transformation took place. Together, they combed through mountains of papers, seeking patterns within the chaos, unearthing names, dates, and connections that wove them into the tapestry of their own lives. Each document uncovered was another thread pulled from the fabric of their family's history. Ambition, love, loss, and sacrifice emerged as the grounding stories that challenged their perspectives. As clarity settled over her once chaotic existence, Lucy began to realize that her journey hadn't merely been about unveiling her inheritance. It had molded her into a fierce advocate for her own life. She was no longer a woman defined by her impoverished past. She had become a beacon of resilience and strength. Meeting with Jake, they pieced together the broader implications of her family legacy, preparing for the challenges and opposition they may face in claiming her rightful place. But it was no longer an act of reclaiming wealth. It became a quest for recognition, clarity, and ultimately freedom. Each exploration into her past unveiled new dimensions, empowering her relationship with both her mother's history and the uncharted future familial resources could offer. At the cornerstone of this metamorphosis stood her established balance between aspiration and integrity. Each encounter with their family's hidden history reinforced Lucy's conviction that her worth lay not solely in wealth but also in reclaiming her identity. She emerged not as a victim of circumstances, but as an architect of her own narrative, capable, confident, and courageous. Finally, standing at the foot of opportunity, she smiled. "Mom, I'm ready. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." And as they prepared to step into this next chapter, Lucy felt an overwhelming surge of readiness for whatever awaited her. The door to her new identity swung wide open, not just with the promise of wealth but also with the triumph of clarity. Now, the call to action awaits the audience to face their own shadows and cultivate their legacies. By subscribing to this channel, you will not only stay updated on Lucy's journey but also be encouraged to embark on your own path of self-discovery. Leave a like now to affirm these empowering stories, comment below with your thoughts and reflections on Lucy's journey, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who dream of overcoming their own battles. This is your moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to embrace your narrative. Subscribe immediately.